Hey guys, welcome back to Limit Line Studios here for another video. I'm hoping you guys are enjoying the content so far. I've been having a lot of fun racing and chasing lap times and meeting some of you guys even out on Open Lobby. It's been a great time and I appreciate all the support and love of the channel so far. I'm going to continue putting out content for you guys, and we're going to continue growing this channel as much as we possibly can. There is no limit here, okay? So, what I got here is I got my whole rig broken down to little itty bitty pits. So, no big deal. Thank God it's easy to put back all together. But, this video is meant for people that are looking into getting into this hobby, or may already be in this hobby and maybe looking at maybe some of the gear that I have laid across here. And this is part of just like the little accessories that I use when I'm out on the track, when I am racing, when I am chasing lap times. So let's reel the timeline back about a year and a half, 2 years, where I started racing getting into sim racing. Okay, when I first got into sim racing, I had a Thrustmaster wheel, which was horrible, to be honest. It was a cheap wheel. I got it from Walmart for like, I don't know, $120, $130, and it was a nightmare. It made funny noises, it made grinding noises, it had intense flex in the wheel. It was a nightmare, and I hate that wheel. I still to this day wish I would have done more research and picked out a better option, because that wheel was just a waste of time. It really was. And I'm not dogging on Thrustmaster, it's just that I spent... You get what you pay for, right? That's all that was. I spent $120. I did not expect to get a $500 wheel, and that's where I made the mistake of putting my mind at, where I thought I was going to get a way better wheel than what I paid for, and I didn't. I owned that wheel for like 5-6 months. I didn't own that wheel very long, and so that wheel really showed and really opened up my eye to what I was looking for and to what I wanted and what my next rig was going to look like, what my next wheel was going to look like, and what, and the research that I needed to do in order to get a better setup. Okay, so disclaimer, all this stuff that you see here on the table, all the stuff that we're going to talk about is not sponsored. None of this stuff that I'm going to talk about was given to me. None of it was, handed out to me. I paid for every single bit of this that was given to me. And so just putting that out there, just letting you guys know. Once I got out of the Thrustmaster, I had 5 months of dealing with that thing, which that was the longest 5 months of my entire life as far as racing goes. I moved on and got off of the desk mount and went to a sim rig, a full chassis with a chair, all that. And I went with GT Player, which offered a very affordable beginner entry-level sim rig at the time. They had the chair set up there, they had the mount for the shifter, and it had a universal plate for any wheel to mount up to it. It was a good beginner base to get into. Unfortunately, I found a lot of issues with it. I'm on the taller side. I'm 6'2" on a good day. And so every time I got into that thing, I'd bash my knee in. Every time. I'd hit my knee. Every time I get out of it, I'd bash my knee in. I got blood on that thing, man. I hate that. I hated that. It was like getting into a bobsled every time. You'd slide right into it. I hated that thing. I really did. What I paired it with was a Logitech G29 or G293 or whatever. It was the latest Logitech wheel that's not direct drive. It's still belt driven. And I love that wheel. Still to this day, I love that wheel, and I talk a lot of hype on that wheel, especially because I still see guys out there to this day racing with that wheel. A lot of people still use that wheel, and they still run amazing lap times. That wheel is wonderful. The pedals are great. There's no weird grinding. The force feedback is really good for what it offers, and for being it's like a $400 wheel, $350 wheel, that's a really good buy. So if you're in the market and looking for a very beginner wheel but can be used for any sort of game that uses a wheel, like American Truck Simulator, any dirt rally games, Forza Motorsports, Forza Horizon, any of those games, that's a really good wheel to use, and I recommend that wheel for sure. Again, no one is paying me to say this at all. Okay, this is just coming from my opinion and from my experience, but I love that wheel. Okay, and I would still probably be on that wheel if I didn't go down a dark, deep rabbit hole that I ended up in, right? So when I use that wheel for about a year, paired with that by the SimRig frame by GT Player. And honestly, I'd still be in that thing. I really would. When I got into ACC, I was racing with that wheel, and still to this day on Spa, I hold my personal fastest lap time at 2 minutes and 18 seconds on that wheel, and I have not I have not gotten anywhere near close or beating that personal lap time on the current wheel that I'm using today. That wheel is a really good wheel. I'm not saying that wheel is going to make you faster by any means. That's not what I'm telling you guys right now. But it was so comfortable. You get right into it. There was no crazy adjustments. There was no steep learning curve. There was no crazy software that you had to download, that you had to have, that you had to make immediate tweaks. When you got into the cockpit, you just hit the track and start setting limits. That's what that wheel was meant for, and it did perfectly at it. It really did. And Logitech knocked it out of the ballpark with that wheel. Shortly after my first year of owning that wheel, a buddy of mine got into sim racing as well, and he got into direct drive. Now, he gave all the hype. He told me all the direct drive's better than what you got. He's like, you're a good racer, all this, you're setting good lap times. You need to feel the immersion of what the car is doing though. That wheel is just not quite doing it for you. And after going to a direct drive setup, it wasn't. It's night and day. It's truthfully an amazing thing when you go to direct drive. It's scary. It's really scary. So he told me to get into it, and I kept blowing it off. I'm like, no, I don't want to get into it. I'm tired of changing my setup. I'm very comfortable. I'm very happy with what I'm in right now, and I'm not changing. Okay, and that conversation between him and I went on for months and months. And then I saw it, and it all fell down on the floor after that. I saw it. He brought it over. I raced on it. I did a couple laps, and I fell in love. And it was a whole new experience for me. And we didn't even have that wheel really even set up to what I have mine set up to this day. That wheel was very lean. The settings were not correct, like how I have it to this day, to how I have mine. So the wheel itself, I fell in love with absolutely. So what he bought is what I bought. I got the R5 bundle off SimMotion, and SimMotion is not paying me to tell you guys this either. No one is in contact with me about this. SimMotion, if you're in the United States, SimMotion is I think it's a distributor. I could be wrong, but they're out of the Northwest Coast area there, and they're awesome. They really do. And it's just not Moses stuff that they have. They have a bunch of other brands on there. So if you're looking to get into this, go check out SimMotion, because they always got deals going on. They're always keeping up with the latest deals and product that is coming out from all these different companies that are erupting across the platform entirely. So when I got into it, I bought the R5 bundle, and that came with the SP Light pedals, which I have here, and then it came with this wheel, but it did not come with this hoop. Okay, it came with this hoop here instead. Now, as you can tell, that is a massive size difference, huge size difference. And I went with this hoop for a couple reasons. Because one, this is too small. Okay, for me anyway, this is too small. Yeah, I understand why they put this on their beginner, and I have no problem with that. But what I had problems with is that there were certain games like Dirt and ATS, American Truck Simulator, and even like Forza and Forza Motorsports, that I didn't like driving on there with this wheel in particular. So that's why I went and moved on to this wheel instead. And this you can get off of SimMotion. It's in their accessories drop down, and that's a massive game changer right there. It's just getting the bigger hoop. Okay, it works phenomenally. I love it. When you get into sim racing, you're just not doing racing in general. You're getting on Forza Horizon. You're sliding cars around and drifting with the smaller wheel where the bottom is flat. Your hands are gonna skip across the wheel. It's just it happens. Okay. So when I bought that, I went with R5. Like I said, I got the SP Light pedals. I got the R5 base here, and then I got this base with the smaller hoop there. And I ran that for 5-6 months. And I went with the pedals. I should disclaim that now I have the brake tensioner on the back. As you can see right there, it's got the spring and then the boot there, the rubber stiffness boot. That is also an add-on along with the clutch. The bundle, the R5 bundle, only comes with the gas and brake and the base. And that's it. It doesn't come with anything else. It does not come with the clutch, and it does not come with the brake tensioner. The brake tensioning kit does not come with that. Now, luckily, those items are pretty cheap, and so that makes it very nice to purchase. You're not gonna blow a bunch of money on such product and go broke on a stupid brake tensioner. That's ridiculous. Why it doesn't come with that, I have no idea. But it's like $15. I didn't mind spending $15 just to make it feel a little bit more immersive and feel like an actual brake pedal instead of like a gas pedal or a clutch pedal, So that changed everything. It really did. So when I bought that, and like I said, I raced on that for 4 or 5 months at least, 4 or 5 months, and I started upgrading and going with the extra pedal for the clutch and the brake tensioner and the hoop, right? I upgraded that, and it was great. It was awesome. Unfortunately, I wanted to go back. Not unfortunately, I got back into ACC hardcore. I was doing that every day for hours, stupid hours on that game every day. And that's really when I started first posting on YouTube about 9, 10, 11 months ago, almost a year now. That's when I first started posting on there, and there was something missing. There's always something missing, and I really wanted a little bit more immersive driving experience, but I didn't see the reasoning to have the top and the bottom of the wheel. There was no point. I wasn't using that part of the wheel. And I really wanted something that would stick out. It would be a great conversation piece for whoever that came over and saw the rig sitting there. And I had to get it. And that is the Monza this wheel, the Monza KS steering wheel. This wheel is by far my favorite wheel of choice, and I love this wheel. So it is designed off of an F1 wheel. It's 300 millimeters from tip to tip. I love this wheel. I love the look. I love the function. It works phenomenal. And if you guys are interested in looking into this product, I suggest giving it a go. You won't be upset with what you get at all. All dials on this work. You can program those to adjust ABS, traction control, and the engine map. You can adjust all those. On top of that, all the buttons are backlit, and that is one of the biggest things that I saw with this. I was really interested in, because I like racing with all the lights off. I don't know why. It brings up the immersion, I'm gonna assume. maybe, or I'm just going crazy. Who knows? But the backlit buttons were one of the biggest selling points on this for me, and the fact that when you buy it, it comes with a massive sheet of stickers, right? And you can place those stickers all across this, and it's phenomenal. It really is. This wheel is, it's so good. It really is. I can talk about this thing for 3 hours. I really can, but I'm not going to do that. I love that wheel. It's got the quick release on the back there. It's got your paddles, okay, and it's got your clutch, and that's all you need. It really, and then it's got your thumb pieces there for traction control, ABS. I love those switches. They're super great to use and really easy. There's no looking down. You can all feel everything. And I do have bigger hands, longer fingers, and so the reach on this wheel, for me anyway, is not bad at all. Now, it may affect other people that have smaller hands, that it may affect if they have shorter fingers, that may not be able to reach. So just putting that out there, that if you have smaller hands and you have issues reaching, the certain buttons already, this wheel is not going to help you any as far as that goes. The biggest thing that I found with this wheel is the lack of flex. This wheel in particular has no flex in it. There is zero flex at all. When I first got the wheel, I was immediately impressed with the finger layout, with how your thumb rests, with how everything just lined up perfectly, and you were just in it. You were in it, and you felt like you were hugging the wheel, but the wheel was also hugging you. It was such a good fit, and I really, 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 really love how that wheel feels. Racing on it, I've heard of people having sore wrists because of how wide it is, and I believe that's more of how high the force feedback is on the wheelbase itself and not necessarily the wheel, okay? So, back to the Moza R5. Now, this is a 5.5 Newton meters of torque set all the way up. Settings all the way up. It's 5.5 Newton meters of torque. Now, I am looking at going to a bigger motor eventually, a bigger base eventually. That will be sometime, hopefully soon. No matter what, though, that base is really good, especially if you're getting into it. I've seen that they have a smaller version, the R3, I think it is, and I don't know if I would ever suggest someone to go to that, because eventually you're going to upgrade anyway. You get in this hobby and you're always looking at more. It never fails. It really doesn't. So when you get into this, I wouldn't necessarily look at the R3 because of the fact that you may be missing out on something that if you go from the R3 to the R9, the change that's a dramatic step. That's 9.5 or 9.3 Newton meters of torque compared to 3.5 Newton meters of torque on the R3. So I found that the R5, which is 5.5 Newton meters, was a really good center balance point. So then when I do want to upgrade, it won't be such a dramatic change in the upgrade. So that is something to think about when you are looking at these and haven't messed around with these before, is that the amount of force and strength is a lot. It really is. So if that is something that's always something to think about when you're getting into this kind of hobby, and you're wanting to go to a direct drive. Now, I'm not very keen or educated on Fanatec. I'm a Moza fanboy. I like Moza. They've taken my heart and my money. I love Moza. They've done excellent. There's so much customization to these things with Moza in general that the customization is endless. They have a truck steering wheel, like a big rig steering wheel, for crying out loud, like that's insane. Like, who would have thought of that, right? They have another accessory where you can put like turn signals and cruise control and windshield wipers on the back of the wheel, on the back of the wheel, and that's an amazing thing. And I haven't done my research on Fanatec, but I'm pretty sure Fanatec does not have something quite like that. And so I found that Moza was right up my alley with customization, with what I wanted to do, and the customization and endless possibility of what I wanted to do is endless with Moza. And I haven't done a whole lot of research on Fanatec. This is just my experience and what I've been seeing, and it's wonderful. It really is. So when I got my Moza R5, I went and mounted that to that GT Player sim rig. Now this is a tubed sim rig, okay? This thing is full tube. There's no customization. There's no adjustment to it. It is, besides moving the chair back and forth, that is it. And I found that this wheelbase is almost too much for that rig, for that chair setup, for that sim rig frame. And I found that I was afraid it was going to rip the top plate off. I was going to, the mounting plate where the base mounts, I was afraid that I was going to rip that plate off. I was terrified that thing was going to just ruin that rig completely. And I didn't want to do that. So, recently, I went and did some research. I did some looking around and found this company. I found them on Amazon, and I'll leave a link to all these below in the description, so then you guys can go check it out later. But it's made by Murata. I hope I'm not butchering that. It's made by Murata, and they have a full aluminum ribbed chassis. It's a full ribbed, so then everything you can adjust on it, whether it's the chair, the height of the chair, or pedal setup adjustments, bass setup and adjustments. You can have a tilt back, you can have it up higher, have it up lower, or have it down lower, all that. It really works wonderful, and I love that. I really am in love with that sim rig. It was quite an extreme thing to put together by myself, especially. It took me 5-ish hours to put that thing together, and I did it by myself. It may take less time if you have some help. Lucky you, because I didn't have no help putting that thing together. That was a complete nightmare. And so that was a nightmare. I don't ever want to go through that again. I give full credit to anyone that can do it by themselves in less time, because I had no idea what I was doing, for one, and for two, that was enough of working on the rig after that. I didn't even get to use it that night. That's how long it took me. So, I love that rig. It's Murata. Like I said, I will put a link down below in the description of that rig, along with everything else that I have here that you're seeing tonight. And that base is wonderful. It's totally adjustable, totally customizable. It's got the ribbed frame, so you can add or remove certain things. It's awesome, and that is something that I wish I would have dived further in and looked into when I was looking for a sim rig to purchase, because that GT Player, however, it was cheaper. It was a great stepping stone. But I found myself super limited into the things I want to do. I'm not bashing GT Player whatsoever. They made a wonderful product. I even emailed them a few times asking if they have any way of me customizing this rig without breaking out the welder. Like that, and that's what's sad, is that you would almost have to start welding to your sim rig in order to add stuff to it, because I didn't want stuff sitting on cardboard boxes or on the floor or anything. I didn't want my shifter sitting on the floor. That's ridiculous. I didn't want that. So just when you get into this hobby, this expensive hobby, make sure that it's long lasting. It's going to last you a little while. You will be able to grow in it. You can adjust it however you want, and if it lasts you 10 years, 20 years, I'd say that's a good purchase for only $500. Just saying. But not everything lasts forever, right? So, with that, With that, I have got quite a setup. I have enjoyed Moza's performance. It's been awesome. The Moza Pit House is awesome to use. I know that Moza has got their product out for the consoles as well, and I believe you have to use the Moza Pit House, like the app, on your smartphone. And I've heard that's really good. That's a really good app to use. There's not a whole lot of bugs going on with that item. So far, Moza has got my heart. They and my wallet. They have done a tremendous job, and I don't have any bad thing to say about Moza. Back to the KS steering wheel. Before I get on to something else, the KS steering wheel. The only little issue I really ever had with the KS steering wheel is that the grips here are a little smaller. Okay, if you compare them to this size, they're a little smaller. Okay, I dealt with it, and it wasn't like a major deal breaker for me. I didn't have any problem with it, but I really felt like, I don't know, I felt like I could put almost another roll of quarters in between my hand and this, right, if that makes sense. I felt like there was just not enough girth here, okay? It didn't feel fully seated in my hand. So when I got this wheel and noticed that and started messing around with it and realizing what I can do to it to fix that, I started doing some research on racing gloves. Now, I do race with gloves. I've always found the immersion and the realistic feel of racing with gloves. I don't know why. Like I said, call me weird. I don't care. I've heard worse. The gloves are one of my favorite things ever, and these are made by, I don't even remember, by Motorsports, I'm going to assume. I hope that's right. So what these are reverse stitch. These are, the stitching is all on the outside, like a real racing glove, and these things breathe wonderfully well. They have a rubber texturized inner palm there that don't slip at all. They are your wrist, you're further than the wrist size, whatever, your mid-arm length. I love these gloves. They're amazing. I didn't think I was going to enjoy them. I thought, well, I think they're just a little too long, and I think I made a mistake. But truthfully, I love them. They're so fun to have, and they work great. I catch a little bit of grief from it from friends that I play with, but that's okay. I don't care. My hands are relaxed. They breathe well, for one. You're racing, you're sweating, the adrenaline's going, you're all excited, all that. It does happen, and it happens to the best of us, but these gloves help a lot with that. And I found that I sweat more, my palms at least, sweat more when they're just on the wheel itself. When I'm wearing the gloves, they work like a rag, like a sponge. They absorb that and cool down your hands quicker. I've used these for, it's probably been about 5 months since I've owned these, and they're still in great shape. They're not fading. They're not, nothing is falling apart on these. They're in great shape, great quality. I love them. They're super comfortable. Yeah, they're great. They really are. I don't have any complaints with these gloves whatsoever. The designs are awesome. They have awesome designs on their website. I will also leave their link down below for you guys to go and check out. But they make an awesome glove, and they have shorter cuffs as well. They don't all sell the longer ones. They do have the shorter cuffs. So they have plenty of options out there for all you sim racers, all you racing fans. They have all sorts of options and cool designs and things that you can do with these. I love them. I really do. And they're a great accessory to have. And I would not sleep on that right there. That was a game changer in itself. Wearing these with that wheel filled the gap. It did. It filled the gap. I noticed immediately when I put them on, it felt a little tighter. Everything felt like it fit better. That kind of sucks because with people with bigger hands, you don't want, if you're not into racing with gloves, if that's not your thing, I get it. But it sucks for us people that do have bigger hands that go to this KS steering wheel, and that is almost their only option unless they just suck it up and deal with it, right? And I don't like that. I have looked at their at Moza's racing wheels, at other ones, and it doesn't seem like they followed this trend. This was kind of like a one-off, and so it's not discriminating the wheel whatsoever. It's just something that me personally, I have witnessed using the wheel, and so that's my only kind of, maybe a gripe, maybe not, but it's my only real thing that I've noticed with this wheel that I immediately noticed out of the gate. Anything else, I have not noticed any issue with buttons make a good click, right? So you know that you're engaging that button, okay? You know that you're going to hit that button every single time. There's no way of screwing that up. Like I said, I've been with this wheel for quite a while now, and I have not fat thumbed a button at all. So if you press it, you pressed it, right? Same thing with the knobs. They are a hard click. Hopefully the speaker catches that. Okay, that you can't mess that up. You actually have to put a little bit of force into it in order to get that dial to turn, to move, to whatever. Okay, so with this wheel, this was the only real adjustment that I had to make with racing with this wheel. Any other wheel, I didn't have to do this with this one here. I didn't have to do that with this wheel. I noticed I had to do this, wear the gloves for this, and so that was my only, I'll call it a gripe. That was my only gripe. And Moza, don't be beating yourself up for it. It's not a big deal. It's just something that I've personally experienced over racing with this wheel over 6 months, whatever. I've owned this setup here for a year, at least almost a year at least. So with that, this wheel is immaculate. If you have looked at it in the past, go and look at it once more. And it's a $250 wheel. That's all it is, and it comes with everything. It comes with the stickers, it comes with all of it, and it works super well. It's got a super cool carbon fiber looking finish on it. It's a conversation piece. It really is. Anytime that someone comes over, they see it and they're like, "Oh, that's cool." It's always a conversation piece. You're like, "Oh yeah, that's that wheel that I was talking about a month ago," and then it all falls down from there. Everyone, they got to get in the rig, they got to play with it, all that. You will get that from this wheel. This is a great piece to add to your setup. It's awesome. Another cool thing about this wheel is that it's not Moza only, right? You can hook these up to Fanatec. You can hook these up to Thrustmaster also, I believe. The new Sim one, I don't know if that will work with this, but I know the Fanatec will, and I believe the Thrustmaster set will also work with this wheel, and it's got this little port on the back there and that's what you use to set that up. Okay, so that it's an awesome wheel. It's just not for Moza. It's for it's for everyone, just about, right? It's an awesome wheel, and I suggest giving it another look if you are interested in it again. Off to the pedals. So the SRP lights are what these are, and I've had some back and forth with them for a little while. When I had my old rig, the biggest problem with the old rig is that I could not adjust the plate that the pedal is mounted to. So I couldn't add a pitch, right? I couldn't adjust them back. So my biggest gripe with these are how slick they are, and I've had to go and start racing with shoes. Now they're not like racing shoes or anything. I wear Vans. That's literally what I wear, and they work great. They really do. But I wish that there was a texture, more of a texture on these pedals. Yes, there is a small texture on the top where they put their emblem in, but that's it. There is no real other texture here. The plate, however, has a texture. That you look for where you put like the heel of your, the ball of your heel at, and so that's really nice. But I really wish that these pedals had like some sort of texture on it. I've totally have thought about putting like skateboard grip tape on these pedals just to solve that issue, because on my last rig, I would go and race, and every now and again I'd hit the brake on like have a late brake, and my foot would slip, and then I'd be a really late brake, and then I'd go off track, or I'd rear end someone, and then I'd have to apologize. I look like a fool doing it. I hated that. So luckily with this new rig, I can adjust the plate back to create more of a angle for the pedals to mount on, and I haven't experienced a whole lot of that issue. It may have just been the rig, but either way, I still really wish that these pedals had some sort of texture across all of them. That way, you're not gonna have no foot slip. I don't know if everyone is racing on a sim rig with these. I don't know if they're just got them laying on the ground, whatever. This is just what I've been experiencing. Besides that, these pedals are really good. I've not had a whole lot of issues with these pedals whatsoever. The software for these, I've messed around with them. So in Moza Pit House, you can adjust the activation arch of of how much that, if I press the throttle down this much, how much that gives me, whether it's 20%, 30%, 50%, 100%. I messed with that, and that has kind of given me an edge on acceleration, and I really like that about Moza's Pit House software. It's kind of brilliant. It really is. I really like it. So with this pedal setup, unfortunately, the way to do it is that you have to get the brake kit with it. Otherwise, it's just two pedals that you're pushing, and they feel the same. There's no other tension to it whatsoever. You have to have that brake tensioning kit on the back there to make it, not just be a regular pedal. Just not to be a regular pedal. This is the biggest game changer of everything. I will take this over the wheel or the base or the gloves or whatever. I will take this right here any day of the week. Dead serious. This is what changed everything for me as far as racing, hands down. Okay, so with the SRP lights, they're I want to say cheaper model, because they're still a really good pedal. They're all like super heavy duty. Like the thing probably weighs like 20 pounds, 15 pounds, something stupid. 10 pounds, 10, 15 pounds, somewhere around there. It's ridiculous. This thing has got some girth to it, okay? So, it's not a bad set of pedals. It really isn't. It's a really good set of pedals. It's got all the mounting adjustments for any plate that you're going to mount them to. It's a great set of pedals, and I really suggest these pedals for a beginner that's getting into it, but I also suggest the brake dampening on the back for more of an immersion, for more of a brake type feel. So I would look at getting that. If you are looking at these pedals, I would go and look at that. That would be a must on my list, and I would go and check those out. With that, the only other thing that I don't have up here are my pair of Vans. You guys know what Vans look like. I'm not gonna bore you with Vans. With the Murata aluminum rig, I will say the shipping was not the best. So when I got it, okay, and it may not be them, it may have been FedEx. Do not be shocked if maybe a box or two looks like it's gone through the meat grinder. It really did. It was truthfully a mess. Yeah, So if you guys are going to look at that rig, like I said, I will be putting all this product down in the description below, including the bundle that you can get with the R5, the wheel, and the pedals. That I will also put in the link in a link in the description below. So go and check that out as well if you're interested. Like I said, none of this I'm paying. I'm not getting paid to say this. I'm not going to get any money back if you guys go and buy that. I don't even have a promotion for you guys. A 10% off or anything. I wish I did, but I don't. So, but without that, yeah, that's all I got for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys are enjoying the content. I'm enjoying making this content. We are going to be looking at some other titles, some other sim racing titles coming up real soon. I do have some plans with the VR headset as well, as far as throwing that on, and we'll see where that goes. I'm not huge into playing with the VR headset. It's not my thing at all. I've really not had all that enjoyment out of playing with the VR headset. It's almost too much, right? So, but yeah, I got plenty of content coming up. I have a lot of videos coming up that I have planned already, and it's just getting the time to get all those videos up. So, without further ado, make sure you guys hit the like button, the subscribe button, and turn that little bell on so then you guys get notified whenever I drop a video. And I hope you guys are enjoying the content so far. If you are, leave a comment down below, and I'll make sure I comment back. I will love to start making a community and starting to talk to a community. So, without that, I will talk to you guys later, and I'll see you guys back out on the track.